Okay, Sunday, August 6th, 2023. I'm just walking back to the apartment to oversee this tile repair. They're using a lot of chemicals and you can't use the bathroom while they're doing this work. So yeah, I had to stay in a hotel, so we decided to stay in center Lviv. I'll try to get, hopefully I've uploaded the videos sequentially. I've been just taking a lot of videos and I'm going to run them through iMovie and stitch them together. You know, I'm not sure how much of the sound I'm going to keep, you know, and what have you. Yeah, just still getting the hang of this camera. I'm in the process of ordering this Rode wireless mic with the Smart Lab microphone, so I can, you know, switch the camera around front and back without having to change the microphone settings. You know, so yeah, you can see everything here. You know, as I'm walking through, yeah, I have a nice view of the city in the rear view. So we have a fair amount of noise and everything. I had an air alarm at 4 o'clock, and here in the center, oh man, it's loud and it's dramatic. And not only do they have the alarm, but they start running these announcements really loudly. And in the hotel too, they want us all to go to the bomb shelter. Of course, we didn't go. You know, it's you know, it is still despite, you know, we were attacked in Lviv a few weeks back. It's just one of these like risk analysis things. I mean, it's just like you hear about someone had a car accident type of thing. It's just, you still keep driving and you still keep going forward. That's just how you reconcile things like this. You know, that we're not driving, we don't have a car, so I guess we we take risk in a different way. I'm just wondering if I can cross the street now. There's a tram here. Yeah, let's see some morning traffic. So yeah, I'm just trying to cross the street. Riskiest thing we do every day. I'm not sure if these people will stop or not, so I usually just let them pass. Not everybody has the driving etiquette like in Europe to stop at the zebras, you know, so it's generally better in the mornings than in the evenings when people have had a few drinks and playing on their phones. It's always like that. Yeah, morning crowd is a bit different than the evening crowd. A little bit more self-discipline, you know, with morning people who get up early and, you know, can overcome all their, you know, willpower, that urge to sleep, that urge to just, you know, I've been sleeping in a lot though last few days. I don't know, it's just summer. In July is usually like a vacation month, so I guess that's just natural. We all slow down in July. I wish America, working on this American project, I mean, it's man, it's 24/7 with those guys. I mean, when they take July 4th off, it's like if July 3rd is a Tuesday and July 5th is a Thursday, they're only taking that Wednesday off, you know, and even checking emails and logging in and stuff like that. That's yeah, so I have to get used to that tempo again. But what's going on in Ukraine? So Ukraine is fighting back. And I've been saying all along that in order for Ukraine to win this war, they have to go 60 miles into Russia. You know, because what they see on the surface, what you see at the border is the supply chain runs, you know, 100 kilometers or 60 miles behind the line. But they've taken a little bit different approach. They're hitting, you know, government and, you know, corporate buildings in Moscow at night, you know, I think to keep the injuries down, to be humane about it, kind of following Western doctrine to minimize the civilian damage. You know, it's just like in Serbia, they were giving warnings before they were hitting the government buildings or the military buildings, and they were doing it at night when people weren't in it. You know, where the Russians, they hit residential buildings at night when everyone is in it. You know, there's a big difference in doctrine. So, yeah, but you know, it's just like, you know, I read on CNN, you know, and you're seeing in the news, the sentiment is changing in Europe and America. And I think that's part of the equation for the Russians. You know, they're probably influencing media and all of this, and all of this hysterics with Donald Trump going on. You know, he keeps getting stronger. And I'll tell you my view on that. You know, I don't know. I don't think what he did, you know, with these classified documents, you know, there's a lot of gray area there. I don't think there's really a case. And I don't think there's really a case with January 6th. I mean, I have my own doubts about the election. I mean, I'm not crazy about Trump and everything, but there was a lot of irregularities. And they don't want to submit to an audit, these states or anything. They to, you know, do a hand count and do it with like a third party. But at the same time, I mean, even if there's irregularities, it's like going to be 1 or 2%, you know, maybe 3% at the most. And if Trump was really all that great, he should have been winning by enough margin to overcome all the irregularities. He should have been winning, you know, he shouldn't be going for like a 51% victory. I mean, he had a chance to win like Reagan did. And I don't know what happened. I mean, he botched the COVID thing. You know, I mean, that wasn't the battle. That wasn't the thing to pick, really. I mean, it's over now, and like it's almost forgotten. It wasn't this big conspiracy and everything. It was a real deal pandemic. It was we had one in 1918, 1919, Spanish flu. We've had them throughout human history. No one knew what it was. You know, like Spanish flu started out, actually, I think even 6 years before or 5 years before. It's just like, and it kept mutating until it got into became something really bad. And we didn't know which way. We had like a SARS outbreak, and SARS mutated into something harmless, but it could have gone wrong. And COVID could have mutated into something very, very bad, like Spanish flu, where people were dying in the streets. I mean, it was, so, I don't know. He handled that all wrong, I guess, and that cost him the election. You know, and in the irregularities and stuff, this cheating, I think it exists, but I think it's only like a 3 or 4% thing. And if you're aiming for 51, 52% margin, instead of like trying to get like a real majority, like 66%, like a 2/3, you should be, that should be a goal of a politician, to get 2/3 of the vote, not 51%. Then you can overcome all of that. You can overcome all of that cheating. But, you know, back to this thing about him being arrested and everything. So, you know, he has, I think, a right to be concerned about that. I don't think, honestly, he was connected with this January 6th thing. I think that was some other people. You know, he might have, you know, I don't know, got himself caught up in it. But, you know, it's like Bill Clinton with Monica Lewinsky. I was against that investigation. And if I was alive during the JFK time and all this stuff with Marilyn Monroe, or, you know, Roosevelt had a mistress and all of this, I think just, this is like what rich people and powerful people do. And, you know, we have to think about bigger things here than like the morality of our leaders. You know, unfortunately, you know, they're the ones who are also capable. These people with questionable morals are also the only ones that are capable of doing big things, you know, of fixing, you know, fixing the country and dealing with belligerent dictators and all of that. I mean, you don't want to, I mean, we'd be lucky to have someone like Mike Pence, but he might be ineffectual like Jimmy Carter. You know, I do like Mike Pence a lot, but he might be another Jimmy Carter, you know, just a nice guy, but couldn't get anything done. just totally ineffective. You know, total Boy Scout. You know, we don't want that. You know, that's the world is too dangerous for us to put a Mormon, you know, Mormon preacher in the White House. You know, it's it won't. They're too ignorant of and too idealistic for what's going on. You know, the politics game, it's dirty, it's ambiguous, it's gray, and you need less than perfect people, less than perfect men, people, whatever, gender. I'm saying collectively, if there was a qualified woman, I'd vote for her. You know, but so far they haven't brought anyone who's qualified. I mean, I actually like Liz Warren, to be honest with you. Somewhere my political views are between Liz Warren and Trump, you know, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but if you were to put them together and take 50% from each and then get rid of the pro-Russia stuff, that would be your candidate, like an extreme moderate. Someone who's like very patriotic but sees that we need a healthcare system. Someone who loves America, wants to strengthen the border, but sees education as a priority, you know, like especially in inner cities and rural America. Those are our most vulnerable youth. Those are the ones that could become communists, and those are the ones that could vote for a authoritarian government who would just simply promise like a check every month. You know, and those are the people we got to reach out to and teach the American way, and, you know, give them the tools so that they can lift themselves up and create good jobs for them. You know, like you know, blue collar industry. You know, we need something in the middle. You know, it's but you know, going around arresting leaders and investigating them for affairs, you know, this is not the way to go. This is really weakening our country. You know, I mean, if they would just actually, honestly, I think if they would have just left Trump alone, DeSantis or Mike Pence or someone we can deal with, someone a little bit who's got their head screwed on a little bit tighter, would have risen. But instead they're just throwing fuel on the fire, and it's really looking bad, especially with this stuff going on with Hunter Biden. You know, we don't hear much about it, but it doesn't sound good when I read about it and try to dig deep into it. It doesn't sound like anything good. But then again, it's like you know, so it's just like I say, you gotta, you know, George Washington, Andrew Jackson, you know, Ben Franklin, you know, these guys were all less than perfect, and I don't think they would have stood up to these standards that we have today, you know, for our leaders or whatever, so-called moral standards. I'm willing to, you know, vote for a person who's got questionable morals if they can give us a, you know, give us a country, you know, give us a country worth living in, you know. And that's you know, I like I said, I think in a previous video I talked about my voting record. I really like Bill Clinton, and when I voted for Trump twice, I really liked this Make America Great Again. But now we've seen that Make America Great Again isn't was meant more as an isolationist thing versus like destroying Russia and North Korea and Iran and Cuba, you know, our four arch enemies, you know, and, you know, putting China at bay and holding the Chinese off. It wasn't that, it was like this libertarian Make America Great Again, like go back to the frontier life. But that was also very fluid and changing. And that's something libertarians don't understand. We can't go back to those times. It's chaos theory, it's entropy. You know, things are always expanding. The time has expired. Now there's new realities. If we do that, if we isolate ourselves as a country thinking like we build a wall around America, especially with our supply chains extending into Africa and Asia and South America, and they will just do like castles. This is like what castles were. They would build castles and think that, you know, the wall of the fortress and everything were impenetrable, and everything could be contained within. But then what they do is they cut off your supplies, they cut off your water, they contaminate your water, they lob piles of crap into the castle to spread disease, you know, like a dead pig carcass and all this, and the next thing you know, there's like disease and plague, and you're stuck in that system and you can't get out. That's what they would do. But, you know, on a grander scale, And that's what China is trying to do now, and Wagner Group in Russia, is they're trying to seize our strategic minerals in Africa, our supply chains, and trying to win over our you know, I would say frenemies. You know, I wouldn't say we're allies with the people that we're dealing with, but they're not our enemies either. But we have like an arrangement with them, but they're very vulnerable. They can be persuaded. So it's a more complicated world, and you know, it's like 3D chess, and these guys are still at checkers. You know, the libertarians, they're still thinking very much like we're living in a checkerboard world, and we're living in a 3D chess world now. So yeah, it's a lot to think about, you know. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's where are we going with this war, you know? But I guess if Trump lands himself in jail, it seems like he's really shooting for it now. You know, he's out there provoking the situation. Then the Republicans would have to form around DeSantis and Mike Pence, you know, something like that. Those are the next two strongest. Or maybe Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis, something like that. They might have a chance. They might have a chance to win against Biden, you know, but Trump, I don't think he can win against Biden. He's at a hard 47, 48%. And like for his case, he needs 66%. He needs to really win over the other side instead of hardening his own side, you know. And he really needs to make some statements against Russia and against Putin. You know, this, you know, I mean, we all know it's going to be a ceasefire. We all know that's coming. The West is just not giving the weaponry to give you know, to give that dramatic breakthrough. They're having small breakthroughs, and they will be able to freeze the lines or even win back a few cities, but they really need like 100 times more than what they got now to win this through. And the striking the Moscow and everything, these are all like neutralizing factors. Now we're going tit for tat, you know. Russia hits something in Ukraine, a civilian target in Ukraine. Ukraine has the ability to retaliate. So everything looks like it's now reaching, you know, reaching a convergence. You know, that we're kind of converging, and then the political opinion in the West and everything. So it's looking like a North-South Korea situation here, you know, where we're unfortunately going to have two Ukraines for a while, just like we had two Germanys for a long time. It's and you know, the situation in Korea now is that a lot of South Koreans are very skeptical about Korean unification because of the cost and cultural differences. They see the reunification of Germany as a failure in Korea from a cost perspective, and it took a while for the East Germans to catch up. And there is still like an East German mentality, I believe. I don't know. I think it's evening out. People are moving around. Polish people are moving into that part, you know, Western Polish people are moving into Eastern Germany, and it's immigration might be, you know, evening it out a bit more now. But there is a lot of nationalist sentiment in Europe, and that's where the Russian military budget goes. They know they can't win on a tactical level. So they're very good at manipulating things behind the scenes. I mean, shoot, I see it on Facebook all the time. You know, I make political comments and everything. You know, you see all these like Russian trolls and stuff like trying to say, oh yeah, you know, people are trying to wipe out the Slavic race, and Ukraine is full of Nazis. I'll say this, Ukraine is full of everything. And like I said, nobody cares. And I think that's what makes these groups all ineffective here, I mean, if you want to go and be a Nazi, go for it. And nobody's gonna like congratulate you, but nobody's gonna come and you know, scrutinize you either. And I think that's what makes them ineffective. It's when they get the media attention, when people are like giving them all this attention and, oh my God, there's Nazis and stuff, then they become stronger, and then they get support, and they get you know, bad coverage is still coverage, right? If CNN is covering you and you did something bad, it's free publicity. I mean, that's how Trump got ahead, you know, in 2016 and 2020. He was the story, so they had to cover him because he got views, so he didn't have to pay for that. You know, one thing Rand Paul, as much as I hate that guy, he got right. Trump got like $4 billion in free advertising with all the airtime he was getting just for being Trump. And this is like the same thing. Like if you know, have some fringe groups here, Nazi groups here or something, then and the CNN starts giving them coverage, they'll probably get, their membership will go up. But here, nobody cares. And you know, I made a video the other day, and we were talking about minorities in Ukraine, and during the course of that video, 2 black guys walked through my video within like a 500-meter walk on the same road. And then I saw a 3rd African person the other day living in my apartment building. So we have diversity here, we have everything here, but there's no Black Lives Matter, there's nobody like screaming about affirmative action. It's Ukraine is a meritocracy. I mean, there is probably in government work, you know, there's some nepotism or whatever, but in IT sector, the only thing these people care about is your billable, you know. So if you're like some black dude that writes really good Python and speaks really good English, you're gonna get a job, and you're gonna get paid, and you're probably gonna get paid well, and nobody's gonna care as long as the code is working and the boss is happy. It's really like that here, you know. You know, and if you're, you know, like I said, even with like gays and stuff here too, there's gay people here, but it's not like a big deal. There's no like flags and parades and all this stuff, but there's nobody getting persecuted either. You know, it's not in our face, and nobody is discriminating. So if you're like a gay person and you can code, and or you're good at your job, like we need a lot of tradespeople. It's just insane, the shortage of building trades. Nobody cares as long as you can do the job, and it's not the topic of conversation. You know, when I worked at EPAM, actually, we didn't even, you know, I was working in a Ukrainian office. I mean, people were just asking me more curious, like, what are you doing here, and why are you here? Why do you stay here when you have the option to leave? And I would just give them my reasons, and then we had to get back to work. Or people were talking about a problem at work. Nobody's really, it's not like America where everyone's trying to recruit you into their cause or into their group, or, you know, it's a bit carried away. You know, whether it's like on the right side with the churches and all this stuff, or on the left side with all this wokeness. And it's just everyone is like trying to sell a ideology over there. So, yeah, it's definitely, definitely different here. Like I say, people just exist here. I don't know how to, I don't know how to emphasize that enough. So if you have your own thing going on, you got your job, your stay-home job, you know, you got a blogger or something like that, or you're in IT, or you want to get into building trades. That's why I said I'm looking for someone to go through a thought exercise with me on what it would take to bring tradesmen from India and Pakistan here and get them engaged on some projects so we can start rebuilding this place, because there's definitely demand. I just need to know the numbers, like, you know, how much they want, how much we can get. Maybe the margins are just so bad that it's not worthwhile, because I can't be the first person thinking of this. There's 38 million people in this country, and I can't be the only person who thought of this idea only person who's gone to Dubai and seen Indian people putting down a floor, Indian people, you know, building a frame for a building and saying, let's bring them over here. You know, maybe I am a pioneer, I don't know. You know, doubtful though. So, yeah, anyway, that's all I got. Just a lot of thoughts, you know, just new reality in Ukraine. Yeah, life is good here. So like I said, come on over here if you've got your thing going on and you just want to get ahead in life and, you know, get yourself situated. And you got to come with some savings though, because there's no mortgages here. So that is something. You got to be, ideally you'd be around 35, 40, you know, you got some money saved up, some 100 thou. It used to be all you need 50 thou here, but now I would say you need 100 thou. You can get yourself into an entry-level apartment, you have a little bit of money left over, and then just start stacking and, you know, eat well, you know, find somebody, you know, and people here want to have families, people here want to, they're very, like I say, it's just very normal. Behaviors here are normal. No one is, water here is pretty screwed up, I have to admit. Yeah, I have double filter at home and it still doesn't get everything out. I have to use zero water to get out the last bit of toxins, so I can't say that. But that's just because nobody gives a crap here. Nobody put anything in the water. The water's got so much garbage in it. There's nothing else you can put into it. But I don't know, I guess McDonald's is coming and there's stuff in that food, and that might make people all weird in 20 years from now, but maybe we can fight that. Maybe if enough of us move here, and we can fight to keep things natural and unstructured, you know. But as soon as the EU comes, it will be all franchise. But we can enjoy it while it lasts. You know, we can enjoy this life while it lasts and everything. Anyway, take care, and we'll see you.